The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Two different worldviews, and you have to pick one. Let me explain why on today's edition of Liberty at Home. Hello friends, I'm glad you could join us again for our latest episode of Liberty at Home. As always, we're broadcasting from the studios of ECAT right here in Easton, Massachusetts, the future home of Taco Bell. That's right, you heard it here first. On last week's episode, we introduced our new area of study for the next several months, the book of Proverbs. We're going to do a flyover look at this incredible book, looking at a different chapter each week. Today, we're in chapter 1. So grab your Bible and follow along with me as we read together, starting from verse 1, and we'll read until verse 10. And it says, "The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not." And for the sake of time, I'll leave off here in verse 10, but we'll return to it in just a moment. Nobody tells me what to do. Have you ever heard a kid say something like this? Have you ever heard an adult say something like this? Let's be honest, it's not an uncommon sentiment. More than once, I've encountered a teenager who over the years wanted to join the military because, and I quote, "I'm tired of my parents telling me what to do." Yeah, that works out about as well as you'd think. You see, no matter what anyone says, we all have to do what we're told in life. The question isn't if we'll have to obey certain voices, but rather who those voices will be. And that's the issue that's at hand here in chapter 1. You see, we just read that Solomon is writing this book to one of his sons. And right at the beginning of the book, Solomon tells his son, and us as well, that there are two distinct worldviews out there calling out, each trying to tell us what to do. So what are these two voices? First, there's the voice of wisdom, which comes from God. Verse 5 says that a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. These voices speak of godliness and wisdom. They were calling out to Solomon's son, and they're calling out to us today as well. Yet, from where we stopped in verse 10, we saw that there's another worldview crying out for attention and obedience as well. My son, if sinners entice thee, Solomon warns, consent thou not. This is the worldview that has no desire to do right. In fact, in verse 16, Solomon says of it, "For their feet run to evil and make haste to shed innocent blood." Let's be clear. These two camps, the worldview of godliness and evil, are two completely different ways of thinking. If they're a Venn diagram, they are circles that don't even touch. There is no overlap. Because of this, when each way of thinking calls out to us, we have to decide who we're going to obey. You may try to say that neither can tell you what to do, but you are going to obey one of them, no matter how much you may protest. Wow, you may be thinking, this is heavy stuff. Who do you think I am? Do you think I'm some awful person and that I associate with equally despicable people? These verses don't even apply to someone like me, you may protest. But that's where you couldn't be more wrong. We all have these two competing thought processes vying for our obedience. I'm not talking about the good angel and the bad angel on each shoulder. That's the stuff of cartoons. I'm talking about something far more serious. In every situation we encounter, we must ask ourselves if we'll obey God and His Word and His wisdom, or if instead we'll follow our own will and way and whims. And really, that's what the whole book of Proverbs is about. A castle can only have one king, and a heart can only have one ruler. Are you willing to listen to the voice of wisdom in your life? And even more importantly, are you willing to obey it? We'll talk much more about this from the Proverbs over the next coming weeks and months. Well, thanks for watching Liberty at Home today on ECAT. Whether you're watching on TV, Facebook, YouTube, or eastoncat.org, thank you for watching our latest episode. I hope you'll stop by our church this coming Sunday. We meet at 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. at 800 Washington Street right here in Easton. And you can learn more about the church at mylibertybaptist.org. Until next time, don't forget that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. I'm Adam Riveiro, and I'll see you next week right here on Liberty at Home.